Well, hello and welcome. This is chapter 26 of World's Longest Suicide Note. My name is Roger, and while I am suicidal, I am not a healthcare provider. Mental health, physical health, sexual health, spiritual health, zero of the above. So, um, as far as that goes, I'm here to offer perspective, and that perspective is from somebody who has dealt with severe mental illness for um, oh like 44 years now, going on 44 years of living with that, and 26 or so living with suicide and suicidal ideations and attempts and the whole thing. So, yeah, I offer a perspective, and that perspective may make sense or it may not, but it is primarily a perspective. So, results may vary. Anyway, what do I want to talk about today? What am I going to offer perspective on today? Well, I want to talk about fighting and the importance of fighting. For many of us, the importance is paramount, meaning that if we don't fight, we die. Our life is contingent on the battle. It's just pure and simple. When we choose not to fight, we are surrendering. We are surrendering our lives, and yeah. So fighting for us is not a choice. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a choice. I mean, of course, it's a choice. But the choice is to live or die. Some folks who deal with mental illness of a less severe brand or type can choose their level of struggle, their level of fight. But those of us who are severe and every day, it's not a choice. Given the fact that we want to stick around. All right, but what does that even look like? What does that even mean? And what I'm going to say is that to the untrained eye, it looks like this. It could look like someone sitting despondently. It could somebody reading or walking or talking to themselves. It could take on many different iterations depending on who you are and how severe you have it. But what I'll say is that there is no real look to it. It's just people living their lives, and that's one of the big challenges with mental illness is that you don't get to explain what's going on to people. I mean, so they would understand. You go through your life, and if you have another type of illness and you're fighting hard, and you're taking pills or you're in the hospital or something. I mean, people see that and they respect it and appreciate it. I mean, people don't understand how hard we fight every day. And it's not that we do it so there's some form of recognition. But it wouldn't hurt every once in a while to hear it from somebody saying, "Hey, I know you're struggling, and I appreciate that. I want you to keep struggling because that means you're here. and you're still choosing to be with us, and that is appreciated. I mean that from time to time would be very good to hear. But again, people don't see us, and see that. They may not. They may see somebody who's just seems detached, and they wouldn't be wrong. It's just that we're focused on what's going on up here more than we are focused on anything else. And so yeah, there's times when fighting, and a lot of times where fighting means doing something we really don't want to do, but we know we should do it. Going to see doctors, talking to them about how we're feeling, that kind of thing. We don't always want to do that, and we loathe to start new professional relationships like new therapists. At least that's me. I loathe the breaking in new therapists, and I think I loathe that because you have to start your story. You have to tell your whole story. You start at the beginning, and it gets. It's not something that I want to do. It takes a long time to get to a place where you've covered 40 years of mental health history and all the different things. And so, yeah, it's something that I, in no way, shape, or form, ever want to do. But part of fighting is doing the things that you don't want to do. The uncomfortable things like starting a new therapist, which is something that honestly I was hoping that I wouldn't feel like I had to do ever again. Like you get to a place and you think, okay, well, I got it. I've been down this road. I know that I could take it from here, because it's been several years since I've had a therapist. The last one I had retired basically, moved to Arizona. And so, did I cause that? Probably not. But at the same time, I didn't immediately, or ever, try to replace, once that was finished, I didn't try to replace that relationship. Because I wasn't in a bad place, and I just figured, okay, I've got 40 years in, I should be able to just, figure out what's going on and deal with it. But my worsening condition has forced me to do something that honestly I don't want to do. But that's also part of fighting. It's doing the work even when you're tired of doing the work, especially when you're tired of doing the work. So this is what fighting looks like. I'm going back into the breach, so to speak, once more into the breach. And because at the end of the day, I don't have all the answers for myself, let alone anyone else. I have to figure out what is going on, and what other perspectives that people could offer me that would give me a better arsenal to fight. Some better tools, maybe some better weapons. I don't know. I don't hold a lot of hope out for that. I mean, I think that's a natural response from somebody who's been down this road a lot and has not gotten a lot of great response or production or value from previous experiences. Yeah, it's not something I'm looking forward to. And so, that being said, I've debated and I've put off doing this for a while because I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. But at the same time, I also understand that there's a need there, and I have to do something because I'm not ready to succumb to my suicidal intentions. So I have to fight, and this is part of it. This is part of the struggle, is doing those things that you don't want to do. So that's what's going to happen. I am going to go to the doctor, get a referral, and then I'm going to start going to see somebody and talking about it. And the talking part is, I mean, at this point in my life, it's not difficult to talk about, and honestly, I don't have secrets that I'm worried about coming out or dealing with. I mean, I know that I have a lot of work to do in certain areas as it relates to my mental illness and things that I have put off for some time working on because of the pain that it causes and the challenge that, especially around the PTSD situation. I need to do some stuff on that, but I mean that is not something that I'm looking forward to at this point. But it's not like I'm avoiding it for, I mean I know that it's there, and I need to find a better way to deal with it. And hopefully I can, that's one of the things that I'll come out of this with. I know that going into it with some degree of skepticism doesn't help, but it's also about being transparent, and I have no false hope, but I also need to understand that I'm doing what I can to address the situation. So it's that, I'm going into it hopeful, but realistically hopeful. And with a healthy dose of skepticism from that part of my brain that, that big part of your brain that, tells you all the talk shit to you every day, and that you have to fight that. And of course, it's going to be not shutting up about anything. It's going to be talking shit for days around that. I just know it. It's going to be part of it. I mean, so you go into knowing that, and it kind of prepares you for dealing with it. And that's what we'll do. We'll deal with it. because at the end of the day, that's all we can do. But the whole idea is that the fight does a couple things for us. Hopefully, it'll make us feel better. That's but it also helps us understand that we do have a role to play, and fighting back against that, and honestly, calling your own brain out is what it entails, because that's what we're fighting. I see it as my own enemy, so I see it as an enemy, but because in my life that's what it is, but it's us trying to control our brain, and it sucks that we have to do that, and I get so resentful sometimes of the fact that I'm it's like that dog that was sitting on the chair and its tail would move, and then it would think the tail was an enemy or someone trying to get its snack, and so it would attack its own tail because of what it perceived it as a threat. The same thing happens with us, but it's our brains, and our brains are telling us things, and we're constantly having to fight back against that. And so it's challenging, it's tough, but it's so important, because we can't just give up, and we just can't give in. So we have to keep making that choice to fight. And so that's what we're going to do. The fight will continue. I know my fight's going strong, whether I like it or not. And so I encourage you to do the same thing, is just keep fighting the best you can. Whatever that looks like in your life, whatever that means to you, keep it up. There is no alternative. So yeah, I'm proud of you, and I appreciate your fight, and I appreciate you fighting. It's very important. If you've never heard that, or if you rarely hear, understand that it is important. All right. So keep it up, and I will catch you on the next one. All right. Take care.